Spencer and Olivia are still waking up together in bed at this beach house, DAVITA has some plans to get Spencer to his goals, and JJ opens up just a bit more to let his walls down and his bros in. What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another All-American video. In this video, I am breaking down season 4, episode 14 from All-American, the OG in the All-American universe. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you don't miss out on any of my All-American content. And make sure to like the video, y'all, because y'all gonna like this one. It's gonna be a little bit of controversy in what I'm saying about some things and some thoughts, but I think you're gonna like it nonetheless. And let me know what your thoughts, theories, and predictions are in the comment section as you watch this breakdown. Okay, so in this episode, y'all, quite a bit is happening. And I really just want us to get the shit back on track. I'm getting used to All-American in the format it's currently in. I think we talked about this on my live last night. Some of us are starting to miss the lack of like cliffhangers that we used to get a lot with All-American. A lot of the trouble, the chaos, the drama, it kind of gets summed up in one episode now, when before things used to carry over and storylines would trail for multiple episodes. So it's something new. It's something new to get used to. It's not bad. It's just something to get used to. We're not really used to things wrapping up neatly in a bow by the end of the episodes, and that's kind of what happens in this episode as well, even though we get breadcrumbs to this NIL storyline or the NIL storyline that is going to carry over throughout a few episodes. Now in this episode, we have a lot going on campus, a lot going on in Crenshaw. Laura has decided that she wants to be able to help underprivileged people within the Crenshaw community by providing pro bono legal services, and she actually gets her hat handed to her when she meets with the first prospect, who happens to be a mother of a young man who was put into jail. This was his first time offense. He was given 10 plus years, and she never even got a chance while she was DA to take a look at his case, and they over prosecuted him, and she was able to realize that. And she's really confronted in this moment by this mom of like, yo, you were in the position to actually help us and you did nothing, and now you want to come and save us. We don't actually appreciate that. And I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope that this was communicated to Laura in this way, and then Grace is there to help Laura unpack some of the pushback that she's getting from the Crenshaw community so that she's able to come to a good place of channeling what she wants to be help and allyship, but not be the typical white savior that we tend to see happen, right? And it's a very fine line to navigate. Between Grace and Billy, Laura really takes a journey this episode to explore her intentions and explore her actions, explore her dialogue, and really just try to position herself to be in the best way of most help, and really differentiate herself of like, yo, I'm not coming in here to be anybody's white savior, but I do understand that there's a need. I do understand that at some point I was a part of the problem and I want to do something about it. And we love that. Laura just continues to give, y'all. It's like she's just never not giving, and we love this for her. We know it's not going to be easy, and the fact that she didn't just walk away when she could have quit after being seemingly disrespected in the way that she was, but she was able to take the criticism and use it. I absolutely love this for her. For Grace and Billy though they were really just here in this episode to support Laura's storyline, so it wasn't too much by way of the parents, but I love what we did get from Laura. Now, another major storyline that was going down in this episode is the storyline of JJ. He is struggling. He plagiarized his own freaking essay from high school, turned in an old essay that he did. Y'all know the one that he did back when Spencer was getting in trouble by the same teacher who let JJ write the article or write the paper about the rock, but wanted Spencer to dig a little bit deeper. Yes, he dug that paper up and turned it in college, y'all, and then is wondering why he's getting on academic probation and he's failing. So they have to bring a tutor in, or Asher decides to help him put a pep in his step and take his academics seriously, and he, you know, gets a tutor, ghostwriter / tutor, that really pushes him to dive a little bit deeper. He feels like all of the things that JJ wants to talk about or share are all so shallow and happy and upbeat and the rock and this and that. And it's like, JJ, you're gonna have to tap into something real if you want to write something of substance. And it takes the bros to really double down of like, yeah, JJ, you probably do go through a ton of stuff, but you don't ever let us see any of it. You don't share any of it with us. And I love this moment that they have with the guys where they're actually taking time to center JJ in the story, because he's always like the joke guy or the party guy. He's always supporting everybody else's storyline, but this was an episode where his storyline was able to step front and center and take all the shine and take a little bit of the scrutiny, and I loved it. I have been waiting for JJ to get his moment and get a little bit more depth And we got that in this episode. By the end of the episode, he makes buddies with his new tutor, as well as goes to a place of talking about a horrible accident that could have cost him and his uncle their lives in Hawaii that really changed the trajectory of his life as he knew it. And it really makes sense to JJ that we see today when he explains it in the context of this accident that happened previously. Coop is over at the nursing home doing her diversion program and volunteer work and being Coop. She's supposed to be cleaning out trash cans and tidying up rooms, and she minding the lady business that's trying to just watch her stories. Like, she immediately walks in the room and does the little Coop look and got a little Coop attitude because she ain't being paid no attention to. And it's like, girl, I don't know you. That's right, lady. The first time Coop came in, that lady turned up the TV, and I'm like, I'm here for it. Girl, take that trash out and get out my face. But ultimately, it's the same woman who gives Coop some very, very wise advice that she's able to impart on everyone else. And that's just about being able to sit in that comfortability. Sometimes you're going to walk into a situation that's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to walk into silence. You're going to walk into weirdness. And our natural inclination a lot of times is to just try to get back to comfort, try to fill silence with sound, try to subvert whatever we're actually in. And we don't take the time to sit in it, to be in it, to feel the feelings, to think the thoughts, to do whatever you have to do in this uncomfortable space and take from it whatever you need, because it's ultimately going to be something that's going to help you moving forward in your journey. And I love this. This is something that I am constantly having to remind myself about in real life. So seeing this manifest on the show in this way, I was just like, yo, this is so dope and deep. And not only that, but it manifested and came out through Tamia's character. Not y'all doubling back and helping us get it together, because Tamia has been stressing us out this entire time. And Coop is able to share these wise words of advice with the crew because Olivia is basically throwing tantrums this episode because everybody's disconnected. Layla and Patience are tiptoeing around each other. Patience and Coop are tiptoeing around each other. They are missing each other basically like 2, 3, 4 ships in the night, even though they're all staying at the Baker's residence. They're not actually making time for each other, spending time together, or really talking to one another. And Olivia feels a way about this. And in this moment, Cooper has to remind her, like, yo, sometimes you just gotta sit with the uncomfortability. It's all good. Like, things might not be what they were, but they are where they are now, and we're still moving towards something else. Things are changing. Things are shifting. We have to be able to adapt. We cannot just hold on to the past, because the past is not going to just be our present and our future forever. It's a past for a reason. And that is a lesson that I don't even think that Olivia actually learned in this episode, because she struggles once she meets or sees DAVITA, who is the sophomore collegiate athlete. She's a soccer player who introduced herself to Spencer at the top of this episode and tells Spencer that his social media needs a little bit of work, and she can help him really start to make traction off the field to position himself to make traction on the field. And while I get Olivia's initial thought about, oh, anything outside of football is just going to be a distraction from football, you also have to take into account when we're talking about name, image, likeness, and NIL, that is also becoming a very important thing. The same way it's an important thing for professional athletes, and it plays into the politics of recruiting for professional athletes. Like, what is their personal brand all about? Who is this guy that we're bringing in onto this team? Are they going to be a troublemaker? Are they going to be a goody two shoes? Are they going to be a leader? Are they going to be a follower? All of that plays into it. And it's not just about how many catches you make, how many touchdowns you do, how many throws, how many yards you have thrown for, or how many kicks you've given, but how consistently can you perform, and what type of person are you? So yes, it is vitally important that Spencer gets his social media together and starts to craft the personal brand, because right now all that the head coach knows about Spencer is that he was this all-star athlete from Crenshaw, and he comes in with this certain level of entitlement, thinking that because he was the best coming out of LA that he's the best on the team. And no, you're starting over, you're starting fresh. Now you're amongst the best of the best, and all the coach knows is that Spencer thinks highly of himself, but he doesn't actually have enough substance to be able to fully back that up. He's underperforming on the field. And I do think that this video, like this IG video that DAVITA has Spencer film, where he's talking about how he fell in love with football and what brought him to the sport and what he loves about it, and you can just see and feel how important football is to him, will make a bit of a difference. It lets you know that Spencer's not just playing football because he wants to be famous in the NFL or wants to make a ton of money. He's playing football because football is him. It is a part of him. It's ingrained in him. It's what he knows. He just wants to at all times be in and around the sport. And that actually matters. So DAVITA is actually right. I love by the end of the episode when Spencer and Olivia actually having an argument and they're going back and forth about DAVITA and what she got to say. And Olivia's like, well, all of this is a distraction. And I just think that it's so funny. It's so funny that social media would be a distraction, but y'all staying at this beach house and waking up together ain't a distraction. Y'all brushing y'all teeth together at night at the Baker's household ain't a distraction. Y'all snack time when he could be watching football footage with assistant coach Boone, that's not a distraction. But then when it becomes time to tell his story, make a connection with an audience, start to grow his fan base and build his notoriety in reference to being not only an amazing football player, but a grounded, dope man who happens to play football, now all of a sudden it's a distraction. I can't. But going back to my original point, it was interesting to me to watch, them go back and forth, and Spencer, agrees that he wasn't necessarily into social media and all of that. And Olivia is really fighting like, oh, this is a distraction. It's creating a little bit of rift between them. And then by the time that he goes to DAVITA to try to break everything off and like, yeah, I'm not going to go down this route anymore. This ain't who I am. I'm not necessarily worried about this, this, and this. She breaks it down to him like, yes, this was the surface goal, right? This is the thing that I told you to get you to start to do it. But at the end of the day, in the process, I was able to help you build your confidence back, put you in a better headspace so that you're fully confident of getting back on the field. Because 3 days ago when we had met, bro, you was doubting yourself and now you're not. And guess what? He's able to take that and go to coach and tell him, yo, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to support the team. If that means I gotta go to special teams because we need a little help there, then I'm fine with that because I just want to get on the field. And you know what that looks like? That looks like growth. And it looks like what? DAVITA was right. And I think for me, what I struggle with the most, what frustrated me the most about Olivia in this episode is that she's so blinded by the other woman that she has created in her head, because DAVITA ain't even come with all that energy just yet. But then she's also centering herself in Spencer's life. That is the biggest problem, and I think it's consistently being perpetuated when it comes to Olivia. And that is that Spencer has to center Olivia. However, Olivia doesn't center Spencer the same way that he centers her in his life. And in all honesty, I don't think either of them needs to be centering the other in their lives. Y'all need to be living your separate lives, but together in your relationship. But neither one of you should be the priority. Yourself should be the priority. And I hope I'm saying that correctly or it makes sense to y'all. Olivia has a problem with the NIL conversation because it was presented by DAVITA. And the social media push and all of that Spencer is making a shift and change with. Like, yeah, she struggles with change. Okay, cool. But I think that it's also a bigger sting because it was presented by DAVITA. Because if it was her idea, she would be 100% down for it. And I struggle with her selfishness and her entitlement in not wanting something that is actually being beneficial towards Spencer just because it wasn't her idea or she wasn't completely involved. Like, it has nothing to do with you, sis. It has everything to do with his collegiate career and him growing as a man. And you have to also be okay with your partner in the world meeting people. When you get in a relationship, it's not just you and this person and you never talk to anybody else ever again. Like, what? Girl, make it make sense. This is another collegiate athlete that has been where he's been, that has come from where he comes from, because at the end of the day, you don't, boo-boo. You still come from Beverly Hills and he still comes from Crenshaw. Like, let's be clear. And we get this preview when we, see the trailer and she's talking about, oh, it's just a couple $100s. It's like, nah, girl, for people coming from where Spencer comes from, this influencer money, this endorsement money, it's not just a little bit of money, baby. But okay. Y'all, I really think that Olivia is setting herself up to walk into a breakup with Spencer because she's diving deep into her privilege and into her entitlement, and she cannot fully see herself. And honestly, it is literally the culmination of so many things that we have seen prior to, a lot of which that a lot of Super Olivia stans have criticized me for pointing out, but this is exactly why I didn't want some of the things that were happening before. I wanted Olivia to be able to apologize to Spencer first in their very first fight, so that I know that she was capable of not making everything about her and not making rash decisions, and being able to fully see their entire circumstance and put their relationship first and not just her feelings. Because she wasn't able to do that then, we get to see this argument now, and then we're seeing her double down in this NIL article and her nasty feelings about it, and her going forward to try to perpetuate that this is going to be an issue. And she is literally holding on so tight to what everybody was, who they were in the past, that she's going to wind up losing the people that she loves because everybody else is trying to grow. And you never want to be the person in other people's lives who is the person who makes people feel smothered or held back. You don't want to be the anchor in people's lives. You want to make people feel like they can soar and fly. So I struggle with Olivia getting an attitude in this episode when seeing DAVITA with her nastiness towards DAVITA, because at the end of the day, I feel like she popped off first. Whether it was passive aggressive or not, she popped off first, and they have yet to even do anything. And I get it, you're jealous, you're insecure, and you struggle with change, and I completely understand how part of the struggle or resistance to change is going to go to, you know, her journey with her sobriety and, you know, feeling like things making a shift gets a little bit, you feel out of control, right? And the last time she felt out of control, it was a relapse. So I totally get the resistance that she has, but I need her to start to be a little bit more self-aware, be the Olivia that I thought that she was becoming in seasons 1 and 2. Before season 3 happened and everything went chaotic. Like, she really got to get to a place where she's fully self-aware and accountable. She can't just expect things to be how she wants them to be because she wants them to be that way. Because in all actuality, you might want something to be a certain way, but that might not be good for the people that you so-called love. I like watching Spencer's journey in this episode, and I like him embracing DAVITA's advice and DAVITA being able to push back when he is getting stuck in his ways and telling him, you know, the things that he actually needs to hear and giving him the push. I think that she is going to be a person that Spencer needs in his life right now to help get him over this hump and get him back into the flow and the mix and starting to feel very grounded and comfortable, not only in his skills as a football player, but as a man. Because I feel like coming out of season 3, we see a very much, like, aside from him being in his ego bag, coming on to the field and like trying to peacock and show like, oh, I'm a great football player, I do feel like the second half of season 3 and coming into season 4, we see a much more subdued Spencer that doesn't necessarily feel as confident in who he is as a person, and that's very interesting to see. So maybe she's going to also help bring that light back into Spencer's eyes or life and all of that jazz. Over at Coastal California, Ash is getting the attaboy from Coach Montez, and shout out to Coach Montez squared, because they have literally changed this boy's life. I love seeing the little tidbits that we did get from Asher. He's going to get to shadow the coach next episode, and Coach Montez really appreciates all that he did with JJ and him just keeping his ear to the ground and being able to make that decision and push him in that way. It's such great coach behavior. We love that for him. And yeah, y'all, aside from that, Jordan was in support of what DAVITA had going on with Spencer in this episode. And aside from that, he just kind of presented DAVITA in a way that allowed Olivia to jump on her insecurity horse and privilege bag. Because it's like, oh, not a what, but a who. Jordan, we see you being messy. But I think we're going to get more from Jordan next week's episode, y'all. Y'all are like, Jordan is just floating at this point. We're going to get a little bit more from him. I know in 2 episodes, he's going to make an appearance on All American Homecoming because Simone has to talk to him about her relationship or her friendship with Damon. So we're going to be getting more from him. And then aside from that, our good sis Layla, I really enjoyed her in this episode. Like, the most notable things was her actually saying, you know what, I'm not actually at a place to talk to you about Spencer and what you got going on in your relationship, but as your friend, girl, calm down, relax. And I'm like, yes, speak the truth and protect your peace. Layla basically said, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it because, girl, you might actually be tripping. And I love that for her. I love the growth for you, Layla. Continue doing what you're doing, baby. All right, y'all, did I miss anything? Let me know your thoughts, theories, and the questions, comments, predictions, all of that in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video and you haven't subscribed just yet, I don't know what you're doing. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on your bell notifications so that you don't miss out on any of my All-American content. The preview for next week's episode will be up shortly. I cannot wait to post that and continue the conversation there. And if you missed it, I did a live where we talked about both All-American and All-American Homecoming. We do so every Monday night after each new episode, so feel free to join us, but you can also catch the replay. Be sure to follow me at ericavane.com on your favorite social media sites. On Twitter, I'm going live with a lot of your favorite All-American Universe stars, so be sure to follow me so that you don't miss out when we have them pop up lives and have those conversations. Most recently, I talked with Netta, who was so amazing, so gracious, so dope. I appreciate you, girl, and there's so many more to come. I will see you in my next amazing All-American video. Bye!